Welcome to Namely 90s. Wow. The podcast that takes you back to the time before smartphones, Google, and Y2K. Join your hosts as they relive the pop culture that shaped a generation and the parts that many people wish they could forget. Listen in to the conversation about how the decade defined those who spent their childhood there and how it shaped them as adults. So, turn down the grunge and dial up the internet. Let's get started. It's time for Namely 90s.
That's right. Welcome to the show. This is Andrew. Over there, that's Brandon. You're listening to Namely 90s. We can be found online on our website, namely90s.com, and then at Namely 90s with a 90s on Twitter. So, Brandon, what do we got? What's been going on in this month of June 1999?
I'm surprised you didn't go with "Let's Party Like It's 1999."
Dang, good opportunity wasted.
Right. Well, let's take you back to June 1999. On the 1st of June, Napster starts. Do you remember Napster? The original music sharing website.
Yeah, sharing, not stealing. But you know what? I'm not gonna. I may or may not have participated in said or not said illegal or not illegal activities.
And we may or may not circle back to that after this intro.
Yes.
On June 12th, George W. Bush announces that he's running to be a Republican candidate for president.
Mm-hmm.
The NHL on Fox airs for its final time on June 17th. I threw that in there because you're an NHL fan.
Yes.
And in the box offices for June 1999, Austin Powers, A Spy Who Shagged Me. Big Daddy, which was the movie with Adam Sandler and then Cole and Dylan Sprouse from, Dylan's, I think Cole or Dylan's on Riverdale right now. They were on Sweet Life of Zach and Cody.
I don't know any of the words that you're saying.
He played Ross's kid in the final 2 seasons of Friends.
Oh, yeah, sure. Ben. Got it.
Yeah. Tarzan, Disney's Tarzan. The animated one, Phil Collins did the soundtrack.
Oh, yes. Love some Phil Collins.
South Park, Bigger, Longer, and Uncut. That was the South Park movie. And finally, rounding out the box office for June 1999 was Wild Wild West, the steampunk western from Will Smith.
Horrifically bad movie. Just terrible.
And gave us a song, Wild Wild West.
Yeah, just universally panned by critics. Really not that entertaining. Just not a good movie at all.
I enjoyed it.
Well, that says something.
But I was a dumb kid. I didn't see it. I did not see it in theaters.
Although I feel like if you're like going to the theater to see that movie and you're disappointed that it wasn't like, a masterpiece, then you're kind of an idiot. Honestly.
I don't know what you were expecting when you saw a giant steampunk spider attack Will Smith in a cowboy outfit in the trailer. And then finally at the top of the charts, If You Had My Love by Jennifer Lopez takes the top spot, dethroning Ricky Martin's Living La Vida Loca.
Don't you miss the days when like her really racy Super Bowl performance was big news, and then like not too long after that, a bunch of people got COVID and died? I just feel like it just puts us in perspective. Like, oh, they were running around on stage wearing very little clothing. So what?
Oh, wow. That was this year. Wow. Yeah. That was only a few months ago. I
know. Isn't that crazy?
Mm-hmm. How did we get here? Also on the charts, TLC's No Scrubs at number 3. You probably probably know that song.
Very popular song, except in hospitals, as it turns out.
Because you're required to. Wow. Backstreet Boys, As Long As You Love Me is number 11. And Kiss Me by Sixpence None the Richer is at 6. And I recall liking that song.
Wow. Pretty busy month there, June 1999.
Oh, yeah.
things are starting to ramp up toward those good early 2000s.
Our middle school and high school years.
It's a shame that hockey on TV never really did that well back then. But once again, I'm going to talk about the level of definition on TV. Like, back with the 4x3 480i format, like you couldn't see anything. It was just, or 480p or whatever, you couldn't see anything. It was just like a blur, and the puck is so small. But now with all this like 4K, HD, whatever nonsense,
it's a blessing to watch hockey on TV. I think watching hockey on TV is better than the in-person experience now.
Yeah, especially because you can't go in person right now.
That's a good point. I meant, you know what I meant.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, but I have the same complaint. Hockey was so boring watching hockey on TV because you're like, where's the puck? I can't. Like, they're just.
And then they tried to put the little shadow behind the puck so you could follow it, and that just didn't work. So really, our lives have been improved immensely by high definition television, is what I've decided.
Yep. Good thing we're a pop culture podcast.
Keeping it nice and shallow.
Speaking of stealing things, downloading things, music, Napster, it debuted on the 1st of June, which is the same day as Dido's first album. The woman that sang that, I want to thank you for giving me the best days of my life.
Yeah, that's wow. Yeah, but Napster, overall as a platform, definitely changed the way that we see music, and obviously is sort of the precursor to what we see, the music streaming today. And now it's like not even what there's iTunes or whatever. Do people buy iTunes? I think people just pay for Spotify.
Yeah, I think it's now like a rent an entire music catalog thing. I personally, because we grew up on Napster, I am a digital hoarder. I will keep my library of music until I die.
I tend to listen to talk radio, not political. Thank you very much. Podcasts, which apparently are down 20% in the COVID era, which is interesting.
Good thing we decided to start a podcast in the middle of COVID.
Well, it turns out people are kind of liking more live stuff because there's a little bit more of like an interactive feel to it. So
I guess we should just start Twitch streaming.
Yes, although the requirement would be that someone cared and was watching to make it interactive, which is not the case currently. So we're up to 22 downloads. Thank you very much.
Twitch just got slapped over a weekend, I guess 2 weekends now, if you're listening to this. Ago, they got slapped with the DMCA takedown because...
Really?
The new policy is... unless you own the music or secure the rights to the music, you can't have it playing on your stream.
Yeah. And by the way, as I just mentioned, 22 downloads, which is more than 21 downloads. I implore you, please, if you're listening to this, say something on Twitter. We're lonely, and also for that matter, leave us a review because we'd love to know if you're out there listening. And even if it's not a good review, I still want to know. So anyway, that's our plea to you, is to interact. And groveling. Yes.
I just thought it would be a funny bit if you did that all by yourself.
Yeah. Moving on.
Napster is a set of 3 music-focused online services. It was founded in 1999 as a pioneering peer-to-peer file-sharing internet software that emphasized sharing digital audio files. Typical audio files encoded in an MP3 format. Do you remember the MP3?
Theft. Yes, it's still a thing. In fact, our intros and some of the stuff we record is still MP3 format, so it's solid. Definitely more compressed than like a WAV file, which those are just giant. So I think it's still a relevant format, but obviously you don't have people running around with MP3 players anymore. That was a thing for a long time. And the iPod, which is just sort of obsolete at this point.
Yeah, you have a phone. I thought it was in like. Do you remember the RAR format?
That's still around.
RAR, yeah.
WinRAR, yeah.
Well, wait. RAW format.
RAW format. Yeah. Okay. Sorry, I think you're talking about the file compression method.
No, I got it confused. RAW format so that's completely lossless audio, right?
Yes. Although with our audio, I don't think losing a little bit would be that big of a deal.
Well, I mean, we record it at 48,000 sample rate, and then go down to the normal podcast 41.
Or they're going to say 48,000 feet. I'm like, what, are we on an airplane? I don't know.
Yes. But like, so Napster, I remember you turned me on to Napster. So where did you learn about Napster?
I'm going to give you one guess.
Your brother.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
So, and he was into like indie sort of punk-ish music back then.
Mhm.
And he was the one who got me into a lot of stuff, like my first blog and all that. So pretty much my brother is actually the computer and technology guru of the family. I'm just sort of like
his shadow,
the shadow of that. But hey, it's that's where I kind of got all this stuff from.
Well, yeah. So I think, do you remember allegedly what or hypothetically what your first song you downloaded on Napster was?
Oh boy, I could not tell you. It's been too long.
I'm pretty sure I downloaded the Blink-182 album that was out at the time, Enema of the State.
Boy, I really did not like them.
Yeah, I know, but I did, and our friend Ben did. The pop punk, they were the rage in '99.
Totally the rage.
And then so Napster, you remember, got taken down pretty quickly.
Yes.
Heavy metal band Metallica discovered a demo of their song "I Disappear," had been circulating around the network before it was even released, and then they sued Napster and got that taken down. In 2000 is when they filed that lawsuit, and then we moved on to other music downloading softwares.
Yeah, definitely pioneering times in file sharing, and obviously due to that caused a lot of sort of both ethical and legal questions. So I think now, I mean, obviously with streaming, artists get paid some amount, but it's still in theory better to support them by buying albums. I have not bought an album of any kind in hard copy format in like 100 years, but I'm also not like a music guy. I'll listen to some music here and there. And most of the artists I would listen to really are like probably dead now. So,
as a self-proclaimed hipster, I buy albums. I use iTunes because I'm an old person, and it's just easy since I'm on a Mac for most of my stuff and an iPhone. So they all talk to each other. But I will buy records. If the only physical albums I've purchased, I know, in the last 5 years, they've been records. And at one point they were cassettes, because cassettes are now the new hipster thing. But I bought a new car in the last year or two.
So you just like do you just wear plaid and put beard oil on and then put gigantic headphones on and listen to your turntable?
I mean, I have beard oil. We gotta keep that beard healthy.
I just love the fact that headphones got and just like phones, got really tiny, and everyone was like, nope, need them big now. Must go back to vintage.
Yeah,
mine are pretty big.
Mine are basic Bose. But I also, I like over the ear, because headphones for noise canceling, but for just I also have AirPod Pros now. And those are awesome. I don't know why I do
like the sort of wireless earbud ones, just because I've got kids, I'm running around, I'm doing stuff around the house or doing chores outside. Like if you want to listen to music but not blast it with the neighbors or whatever, that's kind of nice. And I listen to a lot of podcasts and things. And then the studio here, I've got these big Altec Lansing monitor headphones, and they're super nice, but they're corded.
Yeah. There is a lag in the wireless. It's not as perceivable as it used to be, but it is. Yeah. Because I tried it out. I was gonna just use my earbuds. You see all the people on YouTube right now. They have to do Zoom essentially to do it. So they all have their AirPods in. Ever since the headphone jack has vanished on iPhones,
true,
I've had to either use a stupid dongle or just use Bluetooth.
What I can't believe is these mega podcasters that are out there that are like really popular shows and stuff during this whole COVID thing have like just horrible audio. Like I listened to Dr. Drew's podcast, and it's like it literally sounds like he's broadcasting from his bathroom, and it's like low quality. Like literally
house.
This platform that we use, it costs nothing, and it allows us to talk to each other and then record the file locally, so you get good sound quality. And literally all I've had to do to achieve this level of sound quality is buy a $70 microphone and like a $40 boom arm and bring my computer. So it just makes me crazy when like Adam Carolla or whoever has people on his show and they have like crappy connections. There's no reason for that.
Well, I mean, not everyone has a plethora of random microphones that connect to their computer like we do.
Right. But like if you're actually a podcasting personality on a podcasting network, they can't just send out like a $70 microphone.
I mean,
it's ridiculous.
I mean, I remember back at the start of the shutdown, the hottest commodity was webcams and Blue Yeti microphones. So
yeah,
those are sold out as much as like say the Nintendo Switches.
Right, like there's a lot of options, and if you're part of a big podcasting network, like they just send a guy out to set you up in your house and have a setup, and then you just do that.
Well, at the same time, if you've been doing this for how long, you should have some semblance of an idea of how to put this all together.
But at the same time, they probably don't care because they have a ton of listeners and they're popular, and most people don't care that much about sound quality. I'm just kind of a snob. So
yeah, I actually haven't minded it because it's like, oh, hey, everyone's trying to produce content during COVID. That's kind of cool.
But like you saw the first SNL from home was like kind of rough, but then you could tell the second one, like they shipped out cameras and got like a bunch more equipment and all that. Yep. So like it improved, but some of these, like it just doesn't improve. But
well, what do you think of that? Like
I thought it was fun. You know, something new content coming out, but it's just not the same. And no one expects it to be the same. But that's overall, I just kind of like the weekend update, which I usually find funny. Honestly, not funny without the laughter and pregnant pauses. So didn't care for that. But overall, generally like that a lot.
Well, actually, so I subscribed to a channel called Game Theory and Film Theory or whatever. And they were talking about how like the late night scene, the late night hosts aren't able to adapt to this new no audience, whatever style, but that's how YouTubers have been doing it for the last 10 years. So that's it's like true. They understand that a pregnant pause, you can't have that because there's no audience to fill the pause with the laughter. You have to just go bam, 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 bam with jokes. And
which is what we do on this show pretty much. No.
Oh yeah. Well, it's like, because they're like, you know, Fallon, Kimmel, they're pretty bad at it. Whereas like Trevor Noah is on top of it.
You know, what's really funny about Trevor Noah is like, I wasn't a huge Daily Show watcher. I would watch it occasionally. I found out like 6 months ago that he had an accent. I had no idea. Well, my Facebook video feed, I don't have auto sound and I never actually start the video. I just watch the subtitles. So I literally had no idea he was from South Africa, right?
Yeah, I was going to say,
yeah, until 6 months ago. So that's just ridiculous. But back in the podcasting vein, even though this has nothing to do with the 90s, we're kind of off track. But it's surprising that like, it really not surprising, but the only three ways you can be successful in podcasting are: one, you're already famous, but yet you talk about how you built your podcast network from the ground up. And it's like, yeah, but you were on a nationally syndicated show for 10 years, Adam Carolla. Anyway, like us starting it from the ground up would be impressive if we ever actually got it, you know, to a high level. But you either have to be hilarious, have a huge following, or talk about something really compelling. And I think we're trying to
like this inside baseball right now.
Yeah, we're trying to be compelling, but also funny, and we'll see.
And if that doesn't come across, sometimes we're sorry.
So back to the 90s, because what were people doing? They were consuming. I think weren't they doing like remember live rate, like internet radio?
Yep, we did
that around that time. Yeah, I always loved that.
I think that was probably it was after Napster started, because then you were able
and I
to
remember
disseminate it better.
when I was really getting into it, I remember it was around the time of the Iraq War starting, because there was we did some topic on it on one of the shows, but you would
Did we?
you had to download Winamp and then
Yeah.
have the server on your computer and 5 people could listen at once. It was pretty legit.
Yeah, I was gonna bring up Winamp, because how did you listen to MP3s back in the day without Winamp?
It
Kick
really
into the
kicks the
llama.
llama's ass.
Yeah.
God, I love that. Yeah, and now it's about podcasting, but I think people are kind of missing that live aspect of things. Like, it's a good way to consume content, but
Well, I thought internet radio was basically podcasting back then. They just didn't have the name podcast.
no, it was live stream. It was live. You had to have a server up and running, and they had to connect to it from Winamp while you were actually broadcasting.
What? But we recorded internet radio once or twice, didn't we?
Well, I think you can then play the recordings later, but
Okay.
I just think now, like, podcasting was successful for so long, and it's still a good platform, but people want to have more interaction.
That's true. I think that's why you see like live streams on YouTube and Twitch and stuff, that especially during these times with all the music artists doing like live performances on their live stream. So a shout out to Ben Gibbard for keeping us sane. So
I'd be in favor of doing that, but it's just like, if you don't have an audience, do you just keep persisting until people start watching? I guess that's what you have to do.
Pretty much. Speaking of music, I wanted to just circle back. The number one album at that time was Millennium by the Backstreet Boys. And that's the first CD I remember having before purchasing Jimmy Eat World's Bleed American when I had better taste. CD. Yeah.
Good deal.
But that was a far cry from being in like 4th grade and listening to like pop music on the radio. Do you remember what your first album was?
That I owned?
Your first CD.
Oh man, you're really testing my memory, of which I have none.
This is a podcast based on us growing up in the 90s, so
I know, but I also don't have a great memory. I can't remember, honestly, and I don't even know when or if I got like a CD player. It was all about getting a boombox back then, by the way.
I remember that boombox you had.
The first memory I have is around like maybe 17 years old. Getting some albums from a friend. But I don't remember specifically having albums around that I bought before that. I can't recall.
Well, I know you had, I think you stole a lot of your mom's albums, because I know you had the Eagles' greatest hits. So
I didn't get that till later, about 17 or 18. But I remember actually now distinctly that I had like Linkin Park music. I don't know if I had it on iTunes or a iPod or what, but definitely listen. Like we would play Linkin Park and play GTA 3.
Oh yeah, GTA 3.
just soaking in teenage angst. Basically,
well, I would only listen to Chatterbox when we play GTA 3,
which is awesome.
Call us on the chatter line. Tell us what's on your mind. Go ahead, call her. You're on Chatterbox.
And the thing about the Chatterbox thing with Laszlo is it was like perfect, but then every time they tried to reproduce it later, it just wasn't anywhere near as good. Some things are just perfect, and you try to redo it, and it just does not happen. That was my opinion of that.
It's interesting you bring that up, but because that's a topic for 2 episodes from now.
Excellent. Well, let's just hold out on that one.
Or possibly next episode. But yeah, it was perfect. And then I think the closest it came was that Liberty City Stories came out. So they did another round of Chatterbox.
Yeah.
And actually, I think in GTA San Andreas, it was pretty good. He had his talk show on LCPR.
I feel like there's always so much going on in the newer games where it was like hard to really listen to it. Like, I don't know what that is, but
I actively sought it out, so I remember most of it. So my last topic for this episode, I saw that Counter-Strike was released on June 19th, 1999. Whereas Pokemon Pinball came out on June 28th. I played a lot of that. I know you played a lot of Counter-Strike.
Yeah, not necessarily right when it came out. I was still a little bit young for it, but I ended up playing a lot throughout the years. And obviously, as you know, it was a modification to the original Half-Life,
Mm-hmm.
and really was one of the most popular, I would say, most popular online games for quite some time, and spawned a lot of sort of other offshoots of Half-Life. And in its current iteration, I think it's called Counter-Strike Global Offensive still, and I played that for a long time. A lot of fun. I was always terrible at it, but then I had kids and started working, and now I do know online gaming, which is probably fine.
Well, people give GoldenEye a lot of like accolades for being one of the first FPSs on a console, but I would say Counter-Strike was the second generation of first-person shooters after like Doom and Wolfenstein.
I think wasn't Quake around then, or
Quake was first generation,
engine.
yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And but like Counter-Strike
it was the first
a precursor.
Yeah, it was like the first massively played online first-person shooter, which to me kind of spawned all of the ones in a way that came after that.
That like the Call of Duty, the online shooter. Yeah, like Call of Duty and.
And now everyone and their mom plays Fortnite, and that's pretty much all anyone does anymore. Whatever that is.
I believe it's called Fork Knife.
Isn't it just 2 weeks? I mean, I don't know. But there's like 10-year-olds that play that stuff, and I don't get it.
And you can play it on your phone. That's the weird thing.
I bet you if I started playing it, I would just play it constantly.
Really? I have
no idea what it is, but
I download it's basically a first person shooter where you could also craft stuff to defend yourself.
Oh, it's a first person shooter? I had no idea.
Or no, it's third person, sorry.
Oh, okay.
But
it doesn't look like my kind of thing. I'll just be honest. Looking at pictures right now.
So basically it's a online shooter, and it's not King of the Hill. What is it called? Battlefield? No.
Capture the Flag?
No. So you want to be the last person. Battle Royale. It's a battle royale. You want to be the last person standing, and basically it's a large map, and then there's a certain area you have to stay inside, and it keeps shrinking as the game goes on.
Yeah, it's a third person shooter. It looks like.
Yeah.
I could see myself being very terrible at that game.
I think the highest I got was 7th place, but that's because I hid for most of the game. Wow. And I just happened to be in the eye of the storm.
Yeah, and I'm kind of like a nostalgist. I don't know if that's a word, but we're like, I just want to stick to the old stuff, and I like have a hard time accepting new games or getting into new stuff. And again, I just literally do not have the time with the amount of work that I do and podcasting and other responsibilities around the house.
And then even old games with new releases suck too. Like Assassin's Creed, haven't played that since the 3rd Assassin's Creed, which was technically the 5th Assassin's Creed. It's sad to see like a franchise that you love become blah.
Yeah, it's always kind of sad when that happens, isn't it?
It is. And so, yeah, that was June 1999.
Wow, busy month.
Mm-hmm. So that's it for this week's edition of Namely 90s. I'm Brandon. That's Andrew. Find us on Twitter at Namely90s, that's 90s, or find our personal accounts at bshwitty and Namely Andrew, and tell us what you want us to talk about on future episodes. Apparently, Andrew is very lonely on Twitter. You can also contact us through our website, namely90s.com. Please subscribe to us on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, Spotify, YouTube, TuneIn, and wherever you get your podcasts at. Like I said, this has been Namely 90s, and we'll catch you next time.